On this episode of TrailRecon, we head from San Diego to Merus Adventure Park in Texas to lead a group on the TrailRecon Challenge. And this will be my very first time leading. Of course, what's an adventure without a few challenges? And we definitely had a few. Join us on our journey and find out just how challenging this adventure was. But first, I need to get our trailer ready. Right now, it's all about the prep. I've stripped the bed and washed everything, and now I'm remaking the bed with fresh, clean linens and getting everything secured for the journey. And even though it's going to get dirty, I'm wiping the inside down so it's spick and span to start with. I'm packing up our fridge with as much fresh stuff as possible, including pre-made salads, which make quick and easy lunches on the trail. I've found that foods that are ready to go can make life much easier when we're off-grid. I'm also loading up the pantry with all our dry goods, including my spices and a few treats, packing and organizing everything so they don't get smushed on the trail, a lesson I learned the hard way. And I'm checking my meal plan in my recipe app Paprika just to make sure I've got all the ingredients I need. Alrighty, time to hook up the trailer and move it out of the garage, something I will leave to Brad. This is definitely not my area of expertise. The last thing we need to do is load up our luggage and we'll be ready to go. Brad tends to pack a little bit lighter than me, one duffel bag and some camera gear. As for me, packing light isn't my thing because I like to be prepared for anything and everything. And in Texas, the weather can change pretty quickly. Rain one minute and sunshine the next. Time to hit the road. Texas, here we come. As we get closer to Merus, the landscape looks so flat, stretching on for miles. You would never know the second largest canyon in the U.S. is just a few miles away. Our first stop is at Merus's new offices. It's always great to catch up with everyone. Dirk and Casey are the best. Now, time to get focused and go over the details for the VIP experience. Brad has driven the trails out here many times, but since we're the ones leading this trip, we just want to confirm the routes, which are available on Gaia GPS, especially because I've never led a group before and I'll be taking lead on one of the trails this trip. Wish me luck.
Down here, and you're going to run Sagasor Blue backwards, so to speak.
So we just got to Merus Adventure Park in Texas, and we checked in, got caught up with everybody, Casey, Molly, and Dirk, and we are getting ready to run one of the trails here. We're actually here for the TrailRecon Challenge experience this weekend, and so I'll let Brad explain a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so what we have done is we've invited 12 other vehicles. We've got about 20 or so folks that are coming out, and we're going to spend the next 3 days running the TrailRecon Challenge course, which is a network of trails that we put together here. We're just going to have a whole lot of fun, go camp. But what we're doing today is we're going to air down and just kind of do some pre-running. Like this trail here is VR4. I've ran it the other direction many times. I've never done it reverse, so I'm going to run it reverse. And then we're going to go to Sidewinder Trail, and that's the one you're going to lead. And so once we get to that trailhead, we'll talk a little bit more about that process and leading. But I think what we need to do now is we just need to hit the trail.
Sounds like a plan. VR4 is a moderate to difficult trail, and you'll see exactly how difficult in just a few minutes, that winds through the upper part of the park and skirts the top edge of the canyon, offering some spectacular views and challenging obstacles along the way. Merus Adventure Park is family-owned, and this particular trail is named for the 4 members of the Van Reenen family, hence VR4, Dirk, his beautiful wife, and their 2 fantastic kiddos. This beautiful place is located in the Palo Duro Canyon, which I've already mentioned is the second largest canyon system in America behind the Grand Canyon. Merus has 7,500 acres of actual usable land, which has been transformed into an off-road and outdoor mecca for 4x4 vehicles, hikers, mountain bikers, campers, and backpackers. Dirk and his team have done a phenomenal job here. With miles and miles of trails, you can spend days here and barely scratch the surface exploring the park. VR4 was a great trail for me to practice my off-roading skills, especially my tire placement, something I am still getting a feel for. When it comes to sections like this, my instinct seems to be to hug the edge, which tends to make me get tippy. What I need to work on is straddling these off-camber sections to keep my wheels more level with each other so that I don't get all tippy. And yes, my heart was definitely pounding a little here. We took a short break at Hetzel's Bluff to stretch our legs and admire the panoramic views. And we even got to see an oudad before we got back on the trail. Fun fact, these cool creatures are native to Africa and were originally imported by zoos and let loose by private ranchers to create more income opportunities. We were having a wonderful time, enjoying the gorgeous day and off-roading in the park when we encountered an obstacle, a steep ascent with a lot of loose gravel that gave Brad's 392 absolutely no problems. But it ended up getting the better of my little two-door Jeep. After failing my first attempt to climb the hill, I very, very carefully backed up because a huge drop-off into the canyon below was directly behind me. I gave it another go, but my engine just didn't seem to want to get up to speed. So we tried it again, with me backing up a little bit more, very, very carefully due to that drop-off behind me, to see if I could get enough momentum to make it up the hill and over that little ledge that was giving me so much trouble. But no go. I started to slide sideways in the loose, gravelly dirt. So it was time for Brad to winch me up the hill. All right, don't let me die. Well, it looks like we are going to have to pull some winch to get me up this little obstacle because it's just not working. So let's see how this goes. Okay, and the only reason I am not seatbelted is because I'm on an incline and I had to unbuckle to get to the winch, and now my seatbelt is locked.
All right, I can feel you pulling. Just keep coming. Pull that winch. Let the winch help you up. You got it. Keep going, just like that. Good job. Keep tension on the winch. Keep that winch tight. Coming over. Here you go. Keep tension. So, okay, hold on. Tension on that winch. Tension on that winch. There you go. There you go. Just get a good look and see how you're doing, okay? I just want you to take your foot off the brake when I tell you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Take your foot off the brake.
I can feel you, but I'm not budging.
Right, try to winch and give yourself a little bit of gas, just a little bit.
All right, say when.
Go ahead. There you go. Keep coming. Just like that, hon. Just like that. Okay, little drop. There you go. Straight. That's pulled right there.
Well, my winch works. This was definitely a nerve-wracking experience, but it was also a great lesson in how to work together to get over an obstacle, and why one of the best pieces of recovery gear is someone in another Jeep, especially if that someone has a calm demeanor, someone like Brad. Okay, we just wrapped up VR4. Good, fun trail. That's one way of putting it.
It's a fun trail.
It was fun.
You're gonna lead this next trail, which is called Sidewinder.
Okay.
This trail is very similar, but a little easier.
So should I have my winch ready?
I don't think we're gonna need your winch. Hopefully not. Fingers crossed. But I think it's important to get a feel for this. So as you're leading tomorrow, as the group comes here, you can kind of let them know what to expect.
Okay. So what do I need to pay attention to so that I know what to tell everybody?
Yeah,
tomorrow?
I think as we're coming off the easy trail, we're coming onto this, let them know, hey, it's a good idea to shift into 4 low, sway bars if you got them. And then as we run this today, you're going to know where there's maybe some, blind spots where you got to climb over, and you can let them know, hey, this is a good spot where you're going to come to the right as you're coming over, all those kind of things. I think you're going to have to get a feel for the trail today to be able to know what to share with them tomorrow. I've only done this trail once. This is only my second time doing it. So so you're going to learn a lot today, I think. And it's not long. It's going to be an easy trail, moderate trail, but it's going to be easy enough that you're going to get everybody through here.
Okay, so what are some of the key things that I need to tell people as we're starting down the trail?
They'll already know to keep the person behind them in their rearview mirror, keep up with the group. If they feel like they need a spot, let them know. And I think that's where today, if there's an area that maybe you're getting flexy or you got to do a climb or something, and you know that, well, this might make somebody that's new uncomfortable, that's where it's like, hey, if you feel like you need a spot, it's okay to ask. It's not going to hurt anything.
Okay, or pull winch.
Or pull winch. It's no harm, no foul.
All right. So off we go with me leading the way. My goal is to learn from Brad how to lead a trail run, all the ins and outs, and I'm pretty lucky that I have him as my own personal teacher to show me the ropes. Sidewinder might be one of my new favorite trails. It's got views for days, and it's just fun to drive with the continual maneuvering up and down and over all the bumps and around the many, many corners, which is, I'm guessing, why it's called Sidewinder. So far, so good. This is a pretty decent trail that I think I'm going to be very confident leading. There's lots of twists and turns and some, I don't know what their official name is, but we will call them whoop-de-woos, where you're kind of going up and down and sometimes up and down and around a corner. But that's okay. This is definitely a fun trail. The views, we're kind of skirting the edge of the canyon, so the views are absolutely amazing. It's a gorgeous day. I've got my windows down. It's like 70 something, a lovely breeze, blue skies, puffy white clouds, and you know what? Good thing about being the lead vehicle is I'm not eating anybody's dust, so this is absolutely phenomenal. I've been asking Brad lots of questions about kind of things I should make sure folks are aware of that I'm leading, things to be mindful of on the trail, trail etiquette, things like that. So hopefully I can lead more and more adventures with him because this is a lot of fun and I just want to get better at this whole thing and, maybe one day be, well, okay, I'll probably never be as good as Nina Barlow, but maybe one day be close to as good as Nina Barlow. Pacing. Talk to me more. You said that's something I need to be aware of tomorrow. So what do I need to be aware of with pacing? What are things I should pay attention to and remind people of?
Keeping the person behind you in your sights. But that's just where you have to be situationally aware and, as you're climbing up, looking several vehicles back and seeing how everybody's doing.
Hopefully I'm not speaking too soon, but this trail isn't so bad at all.
You're almost done.
And just like that, we finished Sidewinder, and I was ready to take over the world. Okay, maybe not, but as they used to say in the Navy, see one, do one, teach one. So I guess that makes me an expert now. Well, at least on Sidewinder. Let me not get ahead of myself. After picking up our trailer that we left at the Merus offices while we ran VR4 and Sidewinder, we were ready to head down to the Meadows, the beautiful site where we'd be camping for the next several days, and get everything ready for the group tomorrow. But to get there, we first needed to head down the infamous drop-in, a crazy steep descent into the canyon below. I remember the first time I came down this, as a passenger, I was a little terrified at how steep it was. I think there might still be finger indentations somewhere in Brad's Jeep. But now, piece of cake. I'm just making sure to give Brad plenty of space, which is always a good idea whether you're going up or downhill. And the views. Have I mentioned yet that there are gorgeous views just about everywhere you look in Merus, especially as you're dropping down into the canyon below? Alrighty, we're at the meadow and we are setting up camp, or Brad is starting to, but I'll help in a second. And this is where we are going to be for the next several days. It's kind of pretty here. Nice and shaded. There's canyon walls to shelter us from the wind. The kitchen is set up, so it's time to get cooking. Something we learned from our friends Mike and Miranda is the miracle of vacuum sealing your food. It keeps it fresh, and there's less packaging to take up space in your fridge or trash. Genius! Tonight, we're having some salmon fillets, seasoned with a little salt and pepper, seared in a piping hot cast iron pan, with a little splash, or 3, of canned white wine, nothing but the finest ingredients here, and some fresh lemon zest and minced garlic. To complete the meal, I heated up some pre-made mushroom and vegetable fettuccine. It was a delicious meal to enjoy at the end of a very good day, obstacles and all. Well, it's a gorgeous morning, and we've just met up with a fantastic group of folks who will be joining us for the next several days on the TrailRecon Challenge trails here at Merus. Brad is kicking things off with the driver's meeting, where he's going over some important safety information, the basics of trail etiquette, and Merus rules of the road. Oh, and he just had to mention my little challenge yesterday.
We had to winch Regena up it yesterday. We're going down it, so we shouldn't have that problem.
That's okay. If anyone else needs to use a winch, they might feel a little better knowing they weren't the first. I have that honor. We'll be leaving the trailers behind for our first 2 trails, VR4 and Sidewinder, which are top side of the canyon, but we'll come back to get them around lunchtime before we take the group down to the Meadows. We're starting off with VR4, and this spot right here is where I had a bit of a challenge yesterday. But this time we're running the trail in the opposite direction just to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Downhill should be much easier, right? Fingers crossed that I won't be needing my winch this time. Brad just got on the radio letting everyone know that this is a pretty good little drop that can be intimidating since you'll be looking down, way down, into the canyon as you descend. He's spotting everyone, starting with me, and lets us know to put our vehicles in first gear and take our time. On a descent like this, you don't want to smash your brakes. You just want to slowly roll down, nice and controlled. And let me just say, this footage does not do justice to just how steep this is. Look at that face. Can you tell that Brad is in his element and having a great time? One by one, all the rigs slowly make their way down the steep decline that was covered in loose sandy gravel. We even had a little slip sliding here and there. There was a nicely built Toyota 4Runner in our group, and this was the driver's, Solveig's, first time tackling moderate trails like this. And even though she was a little bit nervous, she did a fantastic job, and she was grinning ear to ear the entire time. It was totally infectious. This is where things started to get interesting. I didn't need my winch this time, but Thomas was driving a stock Jeep Wrangler Sport on street tires. He didn't have quite enough clearance to make it over the ledge, but with a little help from his new friends and their winches and some careful tire placement, he did make it down the hill. Throughout the whole event, he proved just how capable a stock Jeep and a driver with a great attitude can be. And if things weren't already interesting enough, Brad decided to break his Jeep. We didn't know it at the time, but his transfer case was shot. Even with 37-inch tires and the power of the 392's engine, without four-wheel drive, he just couldn't make it up that hill. I got to return yesterday's favor and winch him up. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get it on video since, well, I was winching him. Once up the hill, Brad was able to limp through the rest of the trail in two-wheel drive. We finished VR4, dropped off his Jeep with the trailers, and he got to ride shotgun with me as I led the group on Sidewinder. This was the perfect trail for my first time leading a group on a trail run, and I'm so glad we'd run it the day before. It was so much fun with all of its twists and turns and whoop-de-woos, and it had a few little challenges, and it was incredibly scenic. This definitely boosted my confidence, and I only hope everyone in our group enjoyed it as much as I did. Judging by everyone's smiles as they were driving by and Thomas's thumbs up, I think they did. What a great day. The following morning at camp, there was definitely a chill in the air as Brad led the drivers' meeting before we set out to finish conquering the TrailRecon Challenge. But first, Brad and his buddy Doug had to come up with a rendezvous plan. One member of our group had vehicle trouble and wasn't going to be able to finish the challenge. Doug and his wife Linda were kind enough to offer to lead them back up the canyon so they could get it fixed. I've always said this, and I'll say it again, one of the best things about off-roading and overlanding is the community. Since we started this whole crazy TrailRecon adventure, we have met some of the most amazing humans. And that's what this event is really all about, bringing folks together and building up this incredible community, all while experiencing the majesty of the great outdoors in some of the most beautiful places in America, like Merus Adventure Park.
Hey, you know what? You just completed the TrailRecon challenge.
I did. In style. In style. How's your heart?
Good style, right? After an epic day of wheeling and completing the TrailRecon Challenge, it was time for a delicious meal courtesy of Jessica and Robbie of the Cock and Hog. All of their food was so good, fresh and locally sourced, and their chicken paella is probably one of the best things I've ever eaten, and I think everyone with us would agree. And that pineapple walnut cake, holy cow, it was a slice of heaven. With our bellies full after eating a wonderful meal together, we gathered around the fire pit to spend our last evening together. We shared stories of our adventurous day, and Brad presented everyone who completed the TrailRecon Challenge with their badges and coins. It was an amazing way to end the day. The following morning, we said our goodbyes, and Brad drove my Jeep to tow our trailer up the canyon with me following in the 392. We're leaving Merus with full hearts and beautiful memories. Thank you for watching, and visit us at trailrecon.com.